Hey guys, this is my first video in a series I like to call Portable Magic. It is a web series about book reviews of different books that I have read. We'll be talking about all different kinds: horror, fantasy, sci-fi, young adult. Today I wanted to get started on a book called Five Nights at Freddy's The Twisted Ones by Scott Cawthon and Kira Breed-Wrisley. It was published in 2017, and it is the sequel to The Silver Eyes by the same two authors. Pretty much, I would have to say that this book was kind of a mess. Feel kind of bad because I was very excited to start reading it when it first came out. The more I read it, the more I lost interest. Got about halfway through and it all just kind of started falling apart. We can discuss this. I'm going to tell my parts of what I liked and what I didn't like, and I guess you in the comments down below can tell me what you thought about it when you talk. So, The Twisted Ones, like I said, is the sequel to Silver Eyes, and it takes place 1 year after the first book ended. There's been a bunch of new murders that are coming to Hurricane, and they think it's a new set of animatronics, which it is. The cool thing about this book is that at the time, people said that none of the animatronics were in any of the games. Turns out they have put them in the games. The animatronics that they included in this book that are in sister location are now Foxy and Freddy, and they introduced a new animatronic called the Twisted Wolf, and even in the book, Charlie, our main character, mentions that she has no idea who this one is. And turns out in Five Nights at Freddy's 6, Wolf animatronic is mentioned in the little girl maze minigame that's in Five Nights at Freddy's 6. Anyway, so on to the things that I wasn't a fan of. First of all, I don't like Charlie. She's the main character and she's the daughter of Henry, who was the creator of the original animatronics and the owner of Fazbear's Pizza, and she didn't really bother me in the first book so much as she does now. She's kind of a Mary Sue. If you don't know what a Mary Sue is, it's someone where nothing bad happens. I know that's a bad way of putting it because bad things definitely happen, but it's more like bad things happen to her and she just gets out of them. Like, no problems, no real struggles, it just kind of happens. She just figures it out, and it's not even like a challenge. Either someone else comes and saves her, or it's just... Give like an example, apparently she has a photographic memory, so most things that she needs to recall or remember to figure out a puzzle or a mystery, she just remembers it. Charlie is also super smart. She doesn't really need to pay attention in her classes. She figures things out very quickly. She's practically psychic with her twin. Things, again, she doesn't have to really think about things or really get real clues. She just knows. Like, she knows when something is not right, or she knows when something is what it needs to be. She accidentally draws a bunch of rectangles all over her notes from class, and instead of just being like, wow, my brain was scattered, I must be stressed, I should pay attention, blah blah, she looks at them and then 2 chapters later realizes, oh my god, they're doors. I'm drawing doors. I need to look for a door. It's like, you drew a bunch of rectangles, lady. Just calm down, okay? There's some other things that she did that was really annoying to me, but they're like major spoilers. Like, she goes on a mission during the book that was completely pointless. She sets out to do something, and instead of doing it, she chickens out halfway through. Like, I expected a little bit more. Like, it didn't even try to happen. Whatever, you know, the thing that she tried to do didn't even try to happen. It just didn't happen. She just completely stopped it before it could even happen. Her friend Jessica is also in this book along with her friend John. Her friend Jessica felt pointless. She just kind of shows up and then is just involved. Like, she doesn't really do anything or is needed. They can completely erase her character and nothing would have changed. Honestly, I actually felt like this book was also very badly written. Compared to last time with the Silver Eyes, I was more excited about learning new lore and it's getting some questions answered that I just ignored most of the writing issues and logic issues and stuff. But this one, I knew it no longer mattered. The lore parts didn't matter, the canonicity didn't matter, so I didn't pay attention to that stuff. I mostly just wanted the story. That helped me see some of the flaws. Like, one of the things that didn't make any sense was Charlie was just allowed to touch one of the dead bodies. No problems at all. I mean, the guy yelled at her, but yeah. She found one of the bodies on the ground with a cop, Officer Clay, and it says, she reached in and ran her finger along the edge of the cut on the man's neck. "What are you doing?" "Charlie," Clay said in alarm, and Charlie drew back her hand. "Sorry," she said, self-consciously wiping her bloody finger on her jeans. And then nothing. Clay doesn't care. He's just like, "Oh, yeah, I remember when this happened before." It's not how that works. Charlie just contaminated the crime scene. Everyone's gonna think she killed somebody now. And then one of the other things was that they don't even call in the body. Or at least we don't see that. They go and look at the body. Charlie touches the body. They talk, and then they drive away. He, like, brings her back to class. Yeah, it says Clay leaned forward and reached for the man's open shirt, pulling it closed as best he could. Together they got up and headed back to the car. What? There should have been a full investigation. Like, cops should have showed up. There should have been people around. If you write, there's this thing called a Chekhov's gun. Pretty much what they say is that if in the first act you hang up a rifle on a wall, by act 2 that gun needs to go off. If it doesn't, if you don't fire the gun, there's no point in mentioning it. Don't bring it up. Kind of like how if you ever seen Shaun of the Dead, they mention the gun above the bar and say it's not loaded, and they have the argument over whether or not it was loaded. Close to the end of the movie, they discover it was loaded. They got to use it and shot it. Well, in this story, there was an entire scene of Charlie remembering back when her father made her a little toy frog. And it goes on and on about how she was sad because she didn't like its eyes, and then because they were too big, and so he took apart the frog, like skinned it, and then took it apart, and she's crying saying like, "Oh, I didn't mean it," because she feels bad for hurting the frog, which it's a robot, but she feels bad. The thing about that is that never comes back up. I mean, it's an entire scene just to be like, my dad doesn't waste parts. Just felt like it was a little pointless. And there was a lot of inappropriate comic relief that just was really badly timed. Like, another spoiler alert. So they go and look for Dave's body at the Fazbear Pizza because the cops told Charlie that he wasn't found, that he might still be alive. So they go over to Fazbear's Pizza to like look for him to make sure he was really dead. But it says, Charlie felt a sudden rush of nausea. She pulled back from the corpse and looked at Jessica. "So now what?" Jessica said. "Did you want to give him a foot massage too?" She abruptly turned her head away, gagging at her own joke. "Listen, I have class in..." Charlie checked her watch. "About an hour. You still want to do some shopping?" "Why can't I have normal friends?" Jessica groaned. So they just found a dead body in an old Chuck E. Cheese warehouse thing. And Charlie was just like, "Whatever, I have class, you wanna go shopping?" That's weird. That's weird. Another thing about Jessica is that she's not only pointless, but a little weird. Charlie's talking to John about how they discovered the bodies, and they're talking about the murders and stuff, and then Jessica walks in, and she's like asking questions, and so Charlie tells her, like, new animatronics are murdering people seemingly at random, she continued, not fully convinced of what she had just said. Jessica's face grew grave, but her eyes still had a twinkle of eagerness as she walked around the side of the car to dump her books into the back seat. I don't understand that. Like, why would she be eager? She was traumatized the first time around. Why would she be like, "Ooh, murder, like, ooh, let's go figure this out"? As far as I remember, too, in the first book, she wasn't exactly happy about having to go investigate because it had to make her crawl through a bunch of gunk and horribleness and shit. I don't understand why she suddenly is like, "Ooh, let's go investigate." That just didn't make any sense. One last thing, maybe spoiler, Officer Clay said that he went to the old Fazbear Pizza and they cleaned it all out. He says he kept them. Like, he kept them in his basement, and there were several times where they could have dismantled the animatronic when they found it, and instead they just left them, like, not even tried to stop them from coming to life and killing people. He just kept them in his basement, and he just said he stood in his basement for a month waiting with a crowbar in case they woke up to smash their faces in. And I'm like, just do it anyway. Okay, so on to the stuff I actually did like about the book. The first half of the story was very interesting. It was interesting to see how she started to go back to school to learn how to do animatronics like her dad did. It was interesting how she kind of got up and left her aunt and was like, screw you, Ma, I'm leaving, it's my life, I'll do what I want. But, I mean, other than that, it was okay. I also did enjoy that the cast of people was a lot smaller this time around. You only had to know Clay, John, Jessica, and Charlie. The first time around, there was just way too many people. I couldn't keep track of who was who. I didn't care who was who. Everybody started just kind of bleeding together after a while, and I just kind of pretended they were who I originally thought they were after realizing it wasn't who I thought they were. This time around, it was good. 4 people, done deal. There was also an introduction to Balloon Boy, and also I think they said that he had like jagged teeth. Balloon Boy doesn't have jagged teeth, as far as I know. And also Nightmare is on the cover. Nightmare is on the cover of the book, right? Can you see that? It's totally Nightmare from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. He's not in the book. That was a little strange. I know they did that to try and be like, ooh, spooky, look at the animatronics. But I also kind of feel like he should have just made up a new one. Anyway, this was my very first video. I hope to make more of these. If you have a suggestion for a book you'd like to hear more about, go ahead and leave it. If you have something against what I've mentioned, go ahead and leave it. I'm wanting to learn more about this whole YouTube thing, this newfangled YouTube thing, but please just, I take criticism, just don't call me a skank or something. I will see you all later. I'm gonna try and upload as often as I can. Right now the schedule's gonna be a little wonky, but once I get into a groove of things, I hope to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week. Bye. God, I've got like 400 comments calling me a skank now.